Okay, hello dear viewers, I have a few announcements to make. Well, first, I am very sorry for not uploading more in the recent weeks. I really had high hopes for my channel in May. I hoped for a lot of time to spend on it, and I really wanted to make at least my builds more of a scheduled thing. At the time of the previous update, I thought it could be done, judging by the time investment for my previous builds. Unfortunately, things happened afterwards, and first I had some issues with my graphics card and cooling fans. Then I got a bit, well, depressed. Nothing really major, don't get too concerned, but generally lack of interest in anything and achieving anything, so it was a bit sad week somewhere mid-May for me, and it was very hard to, get energetic and optimistic and record anything because of that. So sorry about that. That just my mind is what it is, unfortunately. And yeah, this just happens sometimes. And there was a rather nerve-wracking week in my family life afterwards. So I am very sorry. I am a bit disappointed with myself at this point, but nevertheless, I will of course keep uploading as often as I can and keep making new builds. So nothing major happened. Fortunately, just I wasn't really in the perfect shape, and there was a lot of problems I wasn't really able to, counter or control. So I have decided on these projects in the last few weeks that turned out to be much more time-consuming than I expected, so that is yet another reason for less frequent uploads, because there was that World Eater build, which I really liked, but it was, I was not satisfied with it for a few days. It felt like it needs something more to make it stand out from all the sword and board builds in the universe, and that is a bit challenging at this point in time. There was that how to play as an average person video afterwards, and that was just ridiculously hard to make for some reason, one reason or another. There was a lot of testing, and there was a lot of mods, and some of them were changing the same thing, so you'd need to make a batched patch, and you would have to really test it out if it all works together well. I didn't want to just throw some random mods at you. I wanted to be sure they can actually work together, and that of course deterred me from staying true to my promise for scheduled build videos, and that was a very misguided optimism in the first place to even make such a promise. And I'm not doing this again, unless I am like 100% sure that I can manage, which actually means that I can only promise a video after it is already made, and therefore making the promise unnecessary. So yeah, I probably won't make such a commitment for quite a long time. But anyway, it's not all so bad. That being said, the following builds do look like they shouldn't be that time-consuming as those two videos, and we will have more builds, I believe, at least one more for Andromeda in this week. I think I can manage to do that, or just in the very first days of the next week. And I just cannot tell precisely how often, how many builds I will make in the nearest future. Alright, and on the bright side, guys, one of my builds just hit over 1,000 views, so guess it moves up in the world. And it's that Mage Hunter build. And I thought, I wouldn't expect it to be viewed by more than 100 people, and I wasn't making it. So for me, it's rather exhilarating and energetic and empowering. That the 1,000 views, that's okay. That's an okay. It doesn't look bad anymore if it has 4 digits in its view count. It's nice. It's nice to see people are still watching it after 2 months. There are still new views every day, so it's interesting to see, because I made it with a very laid back attitude and very low expectations, and now it's my most viewed video, which is good, you know, because some of my other builds are actually much better, I believe, so maybe the other ones will also have some luck in this regard. Speaking of the future builds, I have a few ideas and I just can't quite decide on which should I make first. So I thought I would just ask you, because I am doing it for you mainly. I mean, for my own pleasure, of course, but also for you to enjoy and take some advice maybe from. So there are few builds, and the first, probably the simplest, but also very enjoyable, I hope, is a rather simple idea for a barbarian warlord type of guy that uses Andromeda, Lordstone, and the Summer Mist enchantments to improve his power attacks and be able to power attack without stamina. And other than that, it is a fairly standard tank with a huge two-handed weapon and a huge health bar. Another one is something that I haven't even started to test or really plan out yet, but it feels like it can get a bit finicky in some places. It would be a horse archer build inspired by some ancient history. And where was the last time you saw a build inspired by actual historic events and characters like Attila the Hun or Genghis Khan? That would be extremely boring or very interesting. Of course, you can't fit your horse. Oh God, if I could speak, that would be dangerous. Of course, you can't fit your horse inside a dungeon. So for the indoors encounters, we would give him some alternative means for moving around at high speed and shoot from afar. You know, keeping the distance between him and enemies. I believe that, for example, a shout or two would be useful for that, and proper maybe modded enchantments. We could think of it as the time goes. And then there is this third idea for an archer supporter character that uses low damage arrows and a crappy bow to deliver beneficial effects to his followers, and highly concentrated poisons on another set of bow and arrows whenever he would need, really have to, fight some enemies himself. And that is rather a tricky one, but it could be very, very original, I think, if we can make it, you know, right and all working well throughout throughout the levels and the long playthrough of. I always try to plan out my builds for 50 levels at least in mind, because this is the way I play. I other than just testing the builds, I always play my own characters that I just make for me. I play them for like forever, for hundreds of hours. So I always try to keep in mind that maybe some of you would also like to play for a bit longer, but apparently it's not always the case. I've just learned that some of you like to keep the playthroughs rather short, by my standards, so maybe I should also take that into account, because some perk spreads in my older builds were rather, well, time-consuming to fulfill and to achieve all the things I suggested. So maybe I should keep it more simple overall across all builds. I don't know. Let me know, what do you think? Anyway, what else has been going on? Well, E3 happened. Well, it still happens. The most important part for me personally already happened. And are you excited for that Fallout 76 game? Because I wasn't at all. But after that conference, Bethesda conference, well, it really does sound like something I would like to play, and I don't even play that much online games. Really, I'm just bitter old man, and I like to stay lonely for a while and play single-player games. And I like many old games, so it often keeps me out of touch with the most current things going on in gaming. And and it is progressively harder for me to get excited about new things as I get older. But this one actually, ooh, it feels for the first time in years, and a multiplayer game could be quite exciting to me, you know. That was one of the most exciting announcements of this E3. Now, certainly, you know, we could all agree Bethesda didn't have anything more thrilling to show, right? Right? Well, wrong. Can we just all stop for a second, right? Right? Let it sink in. It's been 7 years, Bethesda, like 7 years, since I first saw that little clip of the Alduin's Wall with Max von Sydow's voice in the background. And I had tears in my eyes then just for looking at some virtual sculpture with the voice of a very old guy. And I was thrilled, I had tears in my eyes, and I was touched to the core of my existence like some puny nerd. And the same thing happened at this Bethesda conference, and with the little short Elder Scrolls 6 announcement. And that wasn't even an announcement, like they just confirmed what we all knew, that they are making it. Well, fine, they didn't even give us a title or the location, they didn't give us anything. It is much less of a teaser than that first teaser for Skyrim I mentioned. That one came out in 2010, and if I recall correctly, and it was really huge for me. I was just so hyped already, and I am now again very much hyped, even though I've got even less information. What are you doing to me, Bethesda? What are you doing to me, Todd? Also, I just like Todd Howard. No matter whatever happened over the years, you know, whatever happened, there was quite a few like disputable moments in our relationship and our thinking about Todd. I believe there was some heated discussions about Creation Club and about way back then in 2006 about the DLC policy for Oblivion, but overall, I see that this guy, I hear the way he speaks about video games, about what he does, and I just can't help but like him and just trust him. Will I ever grow up? I mean, will I ever grow up? That's very unlikely, I would say, at this point, at least in this regard. Anyway, I am blathering to the point of pain at this point. Really, I am just ranting. I had a lot of it written down of this channel update, and I just improvised it all. Anyway, so I'm sorry. English is not my first language. All right. I'm sorry I kept you for so long with my ranting and raving, but it is a really touching moment for me. And as usual, it is a bit of a touching moment for me to talk to you. And I hope we will see each other again. And please, if you are watching, do let me know about how do you feel about all these announcements about, most of all, Fallout 76. If you feel a bit excited at least. And let me, of course, know how do you feel about the prospect of Elder Scrolls 6 finally after all these goddamn years. Anyway, alright, bollocks. And you know, the fun thing is, I still have some ideas for Oblivion that I've never was able to try out. Some builds, characters that I've never played in Oblivion, and I would love to have time to come back to Oblivion for some longer extended period of time, not just for a very short playthrough or just for a short fun, but there's always more games to play and newer games to play and outside games activities to do, and just never can find any time for it. And I really yeah, have to get around it and do it just without without finding any more excuses. But anyway, I still have these ideas for Oblivion. I have tons of ideas for Skyrim, and it seems like we have about 2 years, maybe 3 years to test out all the character ideas we may have in our heads and our nerdy little heads. So, man, that is some pressure actually. It feels like there is some pressure on me to just make all the builds I would like to see in Skyrim and test out before, of course, the new Elder Scrolls game comes out. Anywho, alright, this is really, now it is over. The video is officially over. Keep warm, have fun, and come back for some more Skyrim builds and hopefully some Elder Scrolls 6 hype. Maybe I should start. Oh, okay. This is too much to speak of in such a short video. I have some ideas for celebrating the Elder Scrolls hype on my channel, but that would come later. Anyway, I won't have any time for new ideas in the following weeks. I will just keep doing what I am currently doing in following month, I believe so. Everything else I will keep for another update. Alright, so see you soon, come back for more builds and have a lot of fun, and we'll see each other again. Bye bye.